that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Moving the Chains with Ashmere here on Nuts and Bolts Sports. It's been a long off season since we've spoken. My last video, I think, was like a Super Bowl preview show, and this show is way more exciting because I have a guest with me who I've met through Twitter through this whole quarantine situation, and we're going to talk about our preview for tonight's game. So, Aryanna, thank you for joining me.
Hi, it's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Well, first off, let's get a little intro of you so everybody can learn who you are and how you got to Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Aryanna Prasad, and this March I actually started writing for Seahawk Maven on Sports Illustrated's website. It's been so exciting. I've been following football for several years, and I've been doing fantasy, so it's just a great opportunity that I actually found through Twitter, funny enough. And then recently, I actually started writing for Paralympics. So now I'm doing stories about Paralympic athletes, and I also speak French. So I'll be covering more stories specifically for Francophone athletes. So that's really exciting. But yeah, do you want to get into how we met?
Oh, yeah, sure. So there was a Twitter feed going on between somebody that now works at Sports Illustrated. I don't know if it's like a secret, but Andy Hageman tagged us in women that you need to get to know. And Aryanna messaged me and was like, wow, I've never met another Prasad in sports. And I was like, I haven't met another Indian girl covering football. So we just totally like bonded over everything. We've been talking about like different things we're gonna have on the show. Like we've been literally plotting since the day we've met on how we're going to expose everyone and, include everyone in what we're doing and more South Asians in the industry. So I thought it'd be awesome to kick off the NFL season with my new South Asian host. And yeah, I mean, let's just roll into it because right now NFL is I'm still surprised it's happening, to be quite honest, just because I didn't think much was going to happen based on the way this year started off. But now that we're rolling into things, I mean, tell me how you're feeling.
Yeah, I'm excited that the season is happening. But yeah, as you were, surprised, I watching throughout the off season, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not. I actually interviewed Seahawks safety Quandre Diggs early this summer, and we were talking about that. Like, hey, how do you feel if you players don't feel comfortable, but the NFL is pushing you guys? And he was saying, if I have a job to do, I have a job to do, but I'm okay with waiting. I'm okay with seeing how things are, and I want to be safe. And he actually has an 11-month-old daughter. So yeah, so these kinds of things are important. And we know a lot of players have actually opted out because they have newborns and, primarily they're having young families or people who are at risk with coronavirus. But, as camps have started, there's been so much testing, rigorous testing, and it seems like everything is safe and good to go. And I feel like if we restrict how fans coming into the stadium and everything, I feel like teams should hopefully be okay. If you're not introducing anyone who might have coronavirus, everyone's tested, everyone's clean, and we're all in a bubble, I'm hoping that no one's going to get it, So
yeah, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned the fans because the Chiefs are allowing up to 16,000 fans to enter the stadium, which I thought was kind of shocking. But I'm in California. Everything against the rules is shocking to me. So, but I mean, I heard yesterday, I was reading that not many fans had bought tickets just because the prices were so high. And so they're waiting for them to decrease. I mean, StubHub and like Ticketmaster and all that haven't made any money in 8 months or something. So of course they're going to hijack the prices.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like, there's two sides of this. There's the health aspect that everyone's been talking about, and then there's the economy, right? So obviously people have been kind of trying to rush back to work. There's so many people who say, let me have the right to work, or I want to work, I want to make money. And it's sad that we're in a situation, we've gotten one stimulus check, right? So a lot of Americans honestly are concerned about making money. And then when it comes to the NFL, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So shutting it down for a season is a big deal. And I think that the biggest parallel that we can draw is we look at college sports. Those are young amateur athletes, and health, you see, is a primary factor, right? Like, we don't want a lot of these athletes to play. When it comes to the NFL, they're professionals. You're paying them millions of dollars. They have the choice to opt out, but a lot of people, they'll choose to play because the money's on the line, so that makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's a very good point, actually. I've just been kind of focused on NFL. I haven't really thought about college, especially since Pac-12 was canceled. My heart was already broken like months ago. So I just decided to move on and go towards the NFL. But let's hit the game for tonight. So I really think this is going to be a close matchup. I'm sure you agree, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And
I tried to wear red. I know I'm wearing white too, so it looks like I'm going Chiefs, but I'm actually hot on the Texans too. They're both fantastic teams, and we've talked. I mean, these quarterbacks are incredible. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, Super Bowl winner. But yeah, he just completely brought the Chiefs to that. You also have Andy Reid, who's been a great coach in the NFL, and so many weapons on their offense. I know their defense has been criticized quite a bit. They do have Tyrann Mathieu, who is incredible. Also LSU, which is where I went to school. But so the Chiefs are a great team, but let's not write out the Houston Texans. I mean, Deshaun Watson, he's been called Houdini, and I'm sure you remember that pass from last year where he gets kicked in the eye and he still throws a touchdown. I mean, that is just like unbelievable. So he is a fantastic quarterback, great to have in fantasy as well. But Deshaun Watson is great, and we know the Texans have changed so much. So I feel like this first game is a little more unpredictable for the Texans. To see, we could talk about like what could happen. It's harder to predict, I feel, but I do still feel like they're a competitive team.
No, I agree. I'm a little skeptical. I know the Chiefs are going to win. Like I really believe this will be a great matchup, but after watching the AFC divisional game from January, like I rewatched it yesterday and I did again this morning, and there was just there were things that the Chiefs are not going to make those same mistakes again, like dropping a punt return, having a blocked, punt return, just like those things that cause touchdowns for the Houston Texans. I just feel like those aren't going to be the mistakes the Chiefs are going to make again, especially rolling into the first game of the season, like you mentioned, after a huge Super Bowl win. Yeah. So I just think there's a lot of unknowns, and I do agree Deshaun Watson is amazing. Two 24-year-old quarterbacks in their prime. They're able to complete such intense and distance passes. It's so fun to watch both of them. But I just think because of how many weapons Andy Reid has, he's able to create so many different plays and utilize Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, everybody. And now they've got their new rookie running back coming on, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I believe that Andy Reid's going to utilize him a lot because he tends to favor rookies. I feel like it's really cool to see that he doesn't treat them as if like, hey, this is their first season and they don't really know what's going on. I'm going to reserve them a little bit. He's like, here, I'm going to throw you into the fire. If you walk out, then great. We're going to have a great season together. If you stumble out, then we're going to work on the things that I need you to improve in order to be a successful part of this team. So there's just a lot of fun that's going to happen. And like I mentioned, there'll be, I don't know if 16,000 people will show up, but there'll be a good number of fans rooting for Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead Stadium, just like, I guess, would you call that home field advantage? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just like.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, we're talking about like, we don't know. That's just been such an advantage that the Chiefs have had. People talk about going into the Chiefs kingdom and it's so loud. And then, you rewatch the games, right? Or even watching them, you just hear that. And, home field advantage is a thing. So, and then, you're coming on the Super Bowl winner's turf. So I feel like this first game is always hard. Whoever has to play the former Super Bowl winner, and then,
100%.
Crowd, they're going to have a whole ceremony. So, okay, that's going to psych you out. But, yeah, I mean, I think that the Texans, it's not one of those things that where you look and you're like, okay, this team is definitely going to win. They were such a great team last year. They won the Super Bowl. They're playing someone. They're not that competitive. I feel like the Texans are still a competitive team. I do agree with you that I think everyone is kind of calling this to be the Chiefs game, But I think the Texans have a shot. And if anyone's going to do it, I feel like, Deshaun Watson's your guy. But we just have to
very true.
We just have to see how, Bill O'Brien's made some interesting decisions this offseason, right? The Texans are interesting in that as of right now, like Bill O'Brien, and it's like a group, they're operating as GM, so making all these decisions together. And then I think the world was shocked when he traded away DeAndre Hopkins. I was. Yeah, I was too. I mean, it's like that's the biggest weapon on your offense, So I've actually had the Houston running backs in a fantasy. And, obviously it's different fantasy versus how they do on a team. Like fantasy, you don't want a committee, right? You want that feature back. But,
totally.
I feel like, at least in the past year, after a while, I started to back off from Houston running backs. I was like, after it was like Lamar Miller, I was just like, okay, you're not producing for me. So I haven't been, so this year, and then they lost Carlos Hyde. So it'll be interesting. But they actually do have David Johnson. So David Johnson hasn't performed to the same extent that he did in 2016, but he had an incredible campaign then. And then you never know. Sometimes these trades can really change what a player can do, like we saw with Amari Cooper, right? You're from the Bay Area. He was wishing really on the Raiders. Come on, right?
He had a sore spot on me, girl.
You see him leave, and then you see what he could do, right? And it's like he was here the whole time. But sometimes, we haven't seen how it turns out yet. But Jamal Adams was incredible with the Jets, and then we just got him with the Seahawks. Everyone's super excited. He's super excited. So, yeah, sometimes changing a team, there's just so many different factors. The offensive and defensive coordinators, the scheme, all these things are different. So a player can actually thrive on a completely different team. So I don't know. It'll be nice. Of course, I would love to see all these new additions thrive on the Texans, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But we have the new addition, Brandon Cooks, who's questionable today. So if you're a fantasy holder, as I am, I think you said you have him on one of your leagues too. Aryanna and I are part of like way too many fantasy leagues. I think combined we're in 8, right? Or something like that. I'm in 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay, 6. Okay, good, because that's still a lot. I did not want to join any more leagues. It just like you get too stressed out when you have too many people on too many different teams. But anyways, that's like for the end of the conversation. Brandon Cooks is still injured, and he was injured last year, and it just like affected the way that he had played with the Rams. So I'm very hesitant to see how he's going to be today. I would love to see him there. They brought him on to replace Hopkins, and also because he is a speedy weapon to have along the sidelines. And it's just going to be difficult if he's not playing. What's going to happen? They're going to have to rely on a lot of different people. I mean, they'll have Fuller, Randall Cobb, Kenny Stills, and they were actually used more in the divisional championship matchup than Hopkins was. So I think that's a little bit more relieving as a Texans fan, if you are one, because all of the weight was not on Hopkins throughout the entire game. So it's just like there's the little bumps in the road that happen to happen for the Texans are not happening for the Chiefs, right? They're all coming back full force. Everybody's there. Like they have Travis Kelce on his own is like domination, just like Kittle was for the Niners. So
yeah. It'll be interesting to see how things play out. But you mentioned Brandon Cooks. I was actually thinking it's been so interesting that Brandon Cooks, like his history of being in the league, so he like started off with the Saints, and then he gets drafted to the Patriots, and then he gets drafted to the Rams, and then traded. And then he gets traded to the Rams. But it's actually funny. He missed the Patriots Super Bowl when he was with the Patriots, and then they lost to the Eagles. Then when he went to the Rams, he lost to the Patriots. So I feel like this guy is like a very talented receiver. He's getting traded for like high picks, like first and second round picks and everything. So he is good. But for some reason, he's been moving around on teams. And I really hope he can, find success on the Texans and hopefully stay there. Because that's got to be hard as a player, right?
No, I agree too, because I think the chemistry between Watson and Cooks can be something pretty phenomenal just because of the way that Cooks has performed throughout all these other teams, as you literally just mentioned. So I think like today's going to be a very good like intro to what we can expect from the Texans. If they do walk away with a win somehow, some way in Arrowhead Stadium, like I don't know, I'll Venmo you $10 or something, because you've been riding very well on how the Texans can perform, and I feel like I've kind of been hating on it. Not because I don't like the Texans. I love Deshaun Watson, but I just think it's hard to beat somebody like Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And just like the way that they've, the chemistry that they've built within that team, and they're going to keep building forever.
Yeah, I actually do want to mention, so we talked about both of these, young 24-year-old quarterbacks. And, Patrick Mahomes has been getting a lot of success. Deshaun Watson, that O-line, and I really hope they bolstered that this year, because poor guy was just getting sacked so much last year. And you got to wonder, like, what if Deshaun stepped into the Chiefs offense? What would that look like, right? He'd, be doing very well. But both of these guys just signed huge contracts, right?
Yeah. No, yes, they did.
So
literally paid. There should be a raining money gif right now.
Yeah. So I think that, like, I think when we look at Deshaun Watson, at least as a fan, I want him to be pretty. He's a great quarterback. And we've seen, like, with Andrew Luck, it's just like taken out of his prime, like a fantastic quarterback, but because of injury.
Totally.
And that happens, especially when you look at the draft. Those first few draft picks are going a lot of times to, and I'm not trying to hate, okay, but they're going to teams that those were the worst seasons, right? That's why they're the highest up in the draft. Sometimes the organizations are a bit dysfunctional, So then you have these extremely talented quarterbacks that are going to organizations that can't always help them the best way, So you imagine, like, well, what if Andrew Luck had gone to a team with an O-line that was able to protect him and he didn't get the same injuries? You have to wonder that, right? So I do hope with Deshaun Watson,
100%.
4-year deal with the Texans, I hope within that time, wherever he goes after that, but I hope that they're able to protect him because he is fantastic. I'm not worried about Mahomes. He's a huge asset, and I feel like he's safe on the Chiefs, but I'm worried about my guy, Deshaun Watson. Like, I'm rooting for him.
Okay, so what's our overall idea of how the Texans can win this game? Like, what do they need to do? I believe they need to come out as strong as they came against the divisional championship. I mean, 21 points first quarter. They played as if they were, ready to win. And I think also maintaining that momentum is important because, like we saw in the Super Bowl, if you start to slack with the Chiefs, the 49ers lost, So
Yeah. God,
I think those are two important things.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I feel like your offense has to perform well, but you have got to stop or at least even keep up with the Chiefs offense. They can just come back and bite you so quick, right? Even at the AFC Championship, I believe it was for the 2018 season. So when they were battling against the Patriots right before that Rams Super Bowl, I mean, that was such a close game. Like, people were even saying, like, that was a tougher matchup than between the Patriots and the Rams. That was So I mean, they're an extremely competitive team, and I feel like Patrick Mahomes, when he actually throws a football, he reminds me of like a baseball player. Because I know he has a background. His dad is a baseball player, but he just slings it like so casually, and he's fantastic. Like, he's connecting and trying to get the no look pass down. So it's like he can just come back and get you. So I feel like definitely the Texans. They have to make things work with their receiver. They have to use a running game. Like, they have to have that to be competitive this year, and then their defense, they have to be able to stop things. And let's
100%.
see.
Yeah, 100%. Those third down conversions for the Chiefs, I mean, they were the number 3 team last year that converted them. And I believe the Houston Texans were only 8th, and it was only by like 4% or 5%. So just that's like such a minimal number, but it makes such a huge difference in the long run. And I think that's something that the Texans also need to focus on is just stopping those third down conversions because they're going to hit Kelsey right on the short pass to convert those third downs. I just predict that myself. That's because I have him on literally every fantasy league. So I'm hoping Kelsey performs that way. But yeah, it's all about that chemistry and just making sure that the defense stays strong on the Texans for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a score prediction?
So I was thinking, I mean, I feel like it's going to be either like a touchdown or a field goal, something pretty close. But I was thinking, like, I don't know, maybe like 34-28, something like that for the Chiefs, So I'm still banking to win.
I don't know if you bet, but the spread today is like 54.5 or something. So that means like they have to get over 55 to win for anybody that doesn't know spread. I just learned it. Don't act like I'm betting out here. But I just know that won't be the truth. I don't think they'll be over 55 points tonight. I think it'll be a little bit of a lower scoring game. Like, I feel like the Texans could score like 17 and like maybe the Chiefs could score like 24, 28. I don't know what that adds up to, actually. I'm not a mathematician. But if that adds up to 55, then I was kidding. But I just don't think both teams will score that high. And if they do, it could be Watson running in most of his touchdowns, right? Like they could be within the end zone, and then he'll just kind of depend on himself as he did last year, like you mentioned when he was poked in the eye. Like he's throwing like this. So
you actually make a really good point. And like I was thinking about it like a week ago, but then tonight I wasn't. But hey, it's coronavirus. No one's had like a real training camp. There's been no preseason. So actually for these first few games, it's probably going to be a little messy, a little sloppy, a little slow. So we probably should expect something a little bit lower, right?
No, not from Patrick. You're right about their score. I know they're going to score high just because of the way they're
Uh-huh.
coming off that Super Bowl win. They're like, dude, we don't want to lose. We're not scared of anybody else. Like, we're trying to run it back. That's like the mentality, right? That everybody wants to have. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I believe for the Texans to win, they're just going to have to maintain good coverage on every piece of the Chiefs offense in order to
Yeah.
win or stop those third down conversions. If they leave Kelsey open, he's going to score. If they leave Tyreek open on the sideline, he's going to score, right? If they create a great blocking setup for Edwards-Helaire, he's going to break almost every tackle, right? Because that's what he's known for. So there's just like, it's like you have to watch everybody in the whole game.
Yeah, you really do. You have to overperform. Your entire team has to be strong, right? And yeah, that's the whole thing about the Chiefs. It's like you plug one outlet, it's just going to come out of that. You know what I mean? Okay, you want to cover our receivers? We're just going to do the run game. Like, we've got it all.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The way that the NFL is changing, like having such a high-powered offense. I was just thinking, I wanted to ask you something. Do you think the Chiefs could be the next NFL dynasty?
Oh, yeah, I definitely do. I think they signed Mahomes with that intention, right? $500 million. They're thinking for the future. They want to make sure every season they're keeping strong pieces around him. And they drafted Edwards-Helaire at the end of the draft, the end of the first round, and they still were able to pick up somebody that has been known for the amazing offense that he is and breaking different tackles. He was predicted to be a first-round draft pick in some fantasy leagues. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can the Chiefs be so lucky to pick up somebody like that? And they just won the Super Bowl. You know, so I just think Andy Reid's always focusing on the future now that he has this franchise quarterback. And I don't predict Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he can't really leave anytime soon, but I don't think he could do something similar as to what Tom Brady did and just pick another team at the end, because why would you want to leave what's giving you so much success? That's in my opinion.
Yeah, if they continue, and I think that was obviously the big issue with Tom, is that he didn't feel like, Belichick was giving him enough help on offense, and so he went to a very offense
Yeah.
oriented and an offense oriented coach. Which, hey, like, I'm happy for him. I feel like, every player, like, you should be in a place where you're happy. But yeah, it does seem like the Chiefs, they're very much, they love Mahomes. They're catering to him. They're like, whatever you need, guy, we got you. And I feel like if he continues to experience that, if they make him happy, he'll be happy. He'll play. He'll deliver. So. Yeah, without any injury, of course, we don't want this to happen to any players. But if Patrick can stay healthy, I mean, good things to come for this guy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the stadium when they do that aerial view before the game starts, or during a commercial break or something, just seeing like 10 fans scattered here and 10 fans scattered here, and just like the weird spread of people in the entire stadium. But you touched on the Bucs, so I'm just gonna let us say this because we got a question that said, are the Tampa Bay Bucs overrated? And I just feel like it's rude not to address it.
Right.
But I don't think so. I mean, I personally think that they are all able to excel and compete at a very high level. And now they have a quarterback who's known to be, I mean, Tom Brady wasn't amazing last year, but he is known to be amazing. So I think he can teach everybody to be a better version of themselves. I don't know what you think. I love Mike Evans. Last year, he saved my fantasy league until he got hurt. Now he's like injured kind of again, similar to the Cook situation. So is he going to play opening game? It's hard to like put all your eggs in one basket almost in that situation, but there's so many eggs in the Tampa basket, just like the Chiefs basket. So
Right.
I don't know. How do you feel?
I definitely don't think they're overrated. If anything, we kind of, no, I mean, we discussed this, like, I know we're talking about offense, but I feel like their defense is underrated. Obviously you never know how an NFL season is going to go, but I think it's good to bet on the Bucs. Tom Brady is still a phenomenal quarterback. Obviously, if you've seen, in training camp, he can still throw. Age is not an issue for this guy, at least right now from what we're seeing. And as you said, they have so many offensive weapons. They have tight ends. They have wide receivers. They have. I mean, they just signed Leonard Fournette. And as we were saying, like, this is an offense-oriented coach. So whatever Tom needs, they're going to give it to him. They're helping him out. It's not that. The Patriots defense obviously did very well at the beginning of last year. Things fell apart toward the end of the season, but we forget, like, they made the playoffs, right? Like, they were still a good team. It's just like not as good as what we typically see from the Patriots. But yeah, they still made the playoffs. It just, Tom literally had no one on offense besides like a very injured Julian Edelman, and that was it. like no run game, nothing. And he was still making things happen. So if we actually look at the stats the past few years, Tom Brady's been great. I mean, I am a Tom fan. Y'all can hate me for it, but great player, okay? And at his age, like, I would love to be in my 40s, even being able to run around on a field, like, so respect to him. But I think we're going to see great things from him with the Bucs this season.
Yeah, that was a good point. He does have like his best offense that he's probably ever had. So, yeah. Well, I mean, I think we pretty much covered just about everything for Texas and Chiefs tonight. It's kind of unanimous that we both believe the Chiefs are going to win, but Deshaun's going to put up a tough fight. So, I don't know. I'm excited, but maybe tomorrow we could do like a little recap or something and just see like who was right and who was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Well, thank you for coming on and doing this little preseason preview show. Oh, sorry, not preseason, kickoff show, because we didn't even have preseason. But yeah, everybody follow Aryanna. She's on all the nuts and bolts pages now because she is a new member. Yay! And I'm sure we're going to do a lot more Moving the Chains talks. So we'll be together every week.
Yeah, I'm excited. And, it's awesome to meet another Prasad. I don't know how many of y'all do it, but hey, I grew up in Louisiana. There's not many South Asians. Like, I grew up in a small town. So I didn't meet many South Asians, let alone another Prasad in sports media, So, and Ashmir's killing it. So definitely a cool connection to have.
Cool. Thank you. Have a great day. And thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.